Hey everybody, Boxing coming at you again today. I got two of my baby carpet pythons. Now these are from a striped Van Vettner jungle to caramel jag. And the caramel jag does have, it's an integrate, so it has coastal and it has Eringi in it. So those are really cool. Now, the cool thing is if, say you get this baby caramel from me, when I do put it up for sale, not until the springtime, this is what you can expect. I can reach right in here. I can grab this one without a problem. So this is kind of what you can, this is a good size. A lot of people go ahead and sell their carpets that are this size already. She's had 4 meals in her. Actually a little bit more than that. I have to look at the feeding carpet. I want to say, no, she's had about 5 meals in her. And as you can see, has to go to the restroom. Now she don't have to poop. She went poop the other day. This is more pee than anything. If I lifted her tail and started trying to show you her sex, she would go ahead and pee all over me, which is fine. But, here's a carpet python that, has got a good disposition. I've been trying to work with the babies, getting them calmed down, so that way for the people that do buy some of these from me, early next year, I would say later this year, but obviously early next year in the springtime when I put these up for sale, you can see that they're handleable. And she does have that super nice stripe going all the way down her back that's just absolutely incredible. And you can see she's got jungle in her, and you can just see how that has really added to the reds, just really enhanced the caramel color, really. Just an incredible caramel. She's absolutely gorgeous. Now, she just shed out for me the other day, and she's just absolutely beautiful, and she's a sweetheart. Now, okay, so that's great. When you get a really nice snake and it's really friendly, you're like, yay. And these are just holding containers I use when I bring these guys up here. But say you get something like this, okay? Now this is a jungle jag, same litter. This one's a little bit more, for some reason, jumpy, okay? Now, if you notice, if you go over the top of them, they really don't like that. It automatically, see how I start pulling into a tighter S? Made them a little nervous. So what I like to do is I like to come low. So when I come low like this, I can just come up and scoop him up. And you can tell he's nervous. He's clamping on to things a little bit more. This is one that really likes, this is Captain Spaulding. This is one of my keepers. This is one that really likes to get nippy. But with just a little bit of effort, taking a few little bites, he's gotten really good. And he's got just excellent color. Sorry, I just keep him down low because I was looking at something on him. Just absolutely beautiful. And he needs to have his third shed, but he's just absolutely nice. Now, sometimes he can get a little cranky. Now, what do I do if he's a little cranky and I can't come down at that angle? Okay, I've covered this in other videos, but I think it needs to be touched up again. Say he's in a bad mood, or which does happen. This tool right here is an excellent tool. This is just a small little snake hook. You probably need back up so they can see this. Can they see it? Alright, this is just a nice little small snake hook. Now, if you're worried about getting bit because you think it might hurt or something like that, and I understand, nobody likes to get tagged. You can just sit here and, I'm just gently touching them and rubbing them with it and letting them know, hey, it's okay. And once I establish that, I can reach in and grab them. And there you go. You don't ever really want to use these hooks to pick snakes up because you can injure the ribs very easily. If you do have to pick a snake up with a snake hook, okay, something I don't recommend, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you let them come onto the hook. You don't want to go jabbing it underneath them. When you start jabbing underneath it, you're poking their side, so I'm going to not do that. So if he's on here and if he gets elevated, I can just sit here and right there. Now I'm going to hook him with the hook. And you probably need to come up a little bit higher so they can come up and down. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I'm going to lift and then I'm going to cradle. And there we go. And then I'm going to let him slide off. If he lets me slide him off. If he doesn't, I'll let him hold on to the snake hook and let him just climb the snake hook until he's ready to climb to my hands. And just by doing so, it gives them a stronger base. And now I can sit here and handle my snake. Now, the thing you don't want to do with a baby carpet, or with any carpet that might be a little bit flighty, and this one's really flighty. This one, he's actually been really good. We've been working with him a lot, but he's been probably one of my most nippy ones. As far as just biting you. You want to take slow, steady movement. So you don't want to be doing this. See, when I start doing this, see how he automatically goes into S? He's defensive. I just made this snake nervous by making a fast motion. So what I want to do is take my hand slowly and bring it and let him come down to it. And see how he's backing up, he's sniffing, the tail's smelling. Now I can put him on this other hand, and now I can let him glide through. And now I'm just going to slowly pull my other hand away and let him hook onto this. I'm going to let it, and at all times, you notice I'm supporting him. I am getting him good support. And I'm letting him know that he can trust me. And I'm not going to do this, every single day, because the last thing I want to do is stress out a baby snake. I might do this, when they're this young, I do this twice a week. And I only do this for about 5 minutes handling. Literally, just about 5 minutes of handling, no more than that. I know some people are like, oh, handle them every day, until they stop doing it. No, because it's a baby. That's the thing. We look at these snakes as a snake, and we forget that these guys are little babies. They're infants, okay? So you don't want to go stressing out an infant. I mean, you're not going to skydive. You're not going to throw your baby out of an airplane and say, have fun skydiving, don't forget to pull the ripcord. No, you're going to slowly raise that child up, and then hopefully that child wants to go skydiving. It will, but you got to build that animal's confidence up just like you do a child. So what I've been doing with him is really building his confidence up, because he's been a very defensive baby. And you can tell with just due diligence, hard work, and like I said, just really taking my time and not being afraid to take a bite. I'm not nervous to take a bite. And then, people ask me, why are my snakes not head shy? Why is it I can touch my snakes by their heads? Okay, this is why. I start off when they're young, if I can. If I don't, I do the same thing when they're adult, and I'll pull a bigger one out here in a second. But one thing I do, and you don't have to do this, but people always ask me, how is it your snakes aren't head shy? Well, if you notice, what I do is I sit here and I hold them. And as I hold them, I slowly stroke their chin like this, okay? Nothing where I'm jabbing it. I let my finger and my hand get on their face. I slowly caress them like that. And then from there, I slowly start just barely holding them by their head. And I don't mean holding them. What I mean is I just put my hands up here by like where the jaw ends and the neck is, and I let them just go right through my fingers. And then that way, they don't associate, you touching their head with something bad. You're not aggressively holding it. You're just kind of caressing it and holding it and touching it. And with that, I can build that trust and the bond with the snake as it continues to grow, to where it understands, hey, you know what? This guy isn't predator. He's not a predator that's going to eat me. I am no longer prey on his food chain, so I can relax. And that's the type of relationship you want to try and establish. And people do use these as containers and racks and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with these containers. I keep my babies in the little Proline cages from Ed Lilly with the heats, Pro Heat and everything like that. But these cages are great for babies. So if you have a baby carpet python, you have a rack system, and you use these Sterilite tubs, there ain't nothing wrong with it. The only thing you'd want to do is put something across here, some PVC piping, or I've seen some people use bird-like branches and stuff like that. You just screw it through here, and then you screw that end on, and you give them something to hold on to. Because the one thing that I've noticed that with a lot of babies is they do like to perch. And a lot of juveniles and subadults will perch a ton. Now, once you start getting into something bigger, they don't necessarily like to perch. Now, when I say something bigger, let me go ahead and get her out. Put him back in here. There you go, Captain Spaulding. For those of you who know who Captain Spaulding is, awesome. If you don't, I suggest you find out who Captain Spaulding is. First, you can go ahead and sit that all the way on the ground. Okay, so I'm going to turn this light off a little bit so that way hopefully it doesn't blind you guys, because it's just my dog's lamp. This is Charlotte. Okay, she is a Jack. Now, she's in here, and she's actually a really good snake. But what am I not going to do? I'm not going to just reach my hand right in here. Because even though she knows she gets fed in her cage, you know, that don't mean that she isn't going to see me coming from this high of an angle coming down, and she's either going to she could get scared or she can think there's food. So what I do with the snake like this, and she's already coming out to say hi, she's actually really friendly, is I'm just going to gently rub here with the hook. As you can see, this is what I do. I rub them with the hook. Once I get them going the other direction, they realize no food. Now I can just go ahead and get her right out. Now I did this in her cage to get her out of her cage, but in the tub I'm going to do the same thing. And this is a big jag. She's not a caramel. She's just a big 50% coastal, 50% Darwin jag. Now I got her when she was a sub-adult, and she was a good snake when I got her. And as you can see, I still worked with her on getting her not head shy. You know, I sat there and rubbed her chin, and as you can tell, look at this. I can go ahead and grab her head. I can hold her mouth. I can do anything I want with her within reason, to where, if you notice, I didn't hold her there for very long. It was just a few seconds. You know, and she's wanting to go back up. She's like saying, hey, you're warm. Let me get up around your body. It's cold in this room. So she's going to snuggle me a little harder. And that's another thing. You know, when you let your bigger snakes on you like this, you know, know what they're doing, and know that, you know, when you allow your snake up on your shoulder like this, you know, you can take a bite to the face and to the neck. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen. You know, and understand that you are an extension of a tree. Basically, your body is the trunk, your arms, your neck, you know, your armpits, like how it's going underneath my armpit. Those are branches of this tree. Is probably the best way to describe it. So the last thing you want to do is be an unstable tree, because the more, you know, motion you have, the more the snake's going to hold and squeeze. Not because it's trying to hurt you or because it wants to do anything bad, but it's feeling, you know, it's like anything. You know, if you feel the, or, you know, if you have ever been on like a tilt-a-whirl ride or something like that where it's spinning, you get off and you're going like that and you're grabbing onto something, that's what a snake's going to do. You know, I'm moving, so it's going to grab on. Now, the one thing I don't do is I don't sit there and stop my snakes from being snakes. So what do I mean by that? Well, I don't just sit here and say, okay, we have to look at the camera. Oh, let me hold your head. Now, when I say hold her head, I got it very lightly. As you can see, she pulled right back. No, I don't do that. I let my snakes move freely. I control their movements, okay? You know, I'm not going to let her just go up and grab onto the mirror and yank that down. You know, I'm going to sit here and control that movement. And so by doing so, what I'm going to do, if you notice, I keep moving my hands back and forth. You know, she moves forward, the other hand comes forward. As she goes through that, this other hand comes forward. So that way she feels like she's constantly moving, which makes her feel comfortable because she's not feeling like she's being resisted. But in reality, she's not getting anywhere. But in her mind, she thinks she's on the move, which makes her feel at ease and more comfortable because she doesn't feel restricted. I see so many people trying to control their snakes in the wrong way. You know, saying, you're coming over here, you're not doing this. And they'll literally pull on their snake. They'll take its body and go like this. And see how you can do this? If you want your snake to come this direction, that's fine. Look, I pull my arm in. As I'm pulling my arm in, I'm moving my hand still. And see, I got it closer to me now. Why is she still moving without her feeling away? Now, if I want her to come out, look, I'm going to continue with my hands as I extend my hands forward. And see, now she is not feeling constricted. And I got her to come in and I got her to come out. You know, and I'm going to let her do her thing. You know, and as you can see, you go from that tiny little snake, and this is what you can end up with. Now, she's a big girl. She won't get much bigger than this. She's pretty much full grown. I'd say I say pretty much she is full grown. She might get a little bit thicker. You know, she'll get, you know, obviously they can get a little bit thicker than this. Maybe she'll get a little bit longer, but she honestly won't get much bigger than this. And this is about the average size of a carpet python, unless you're talking about a pure Irian Jaya or Papua New Guinea. They'll stay on the smaller side. Same thing with the jungles. You know, they stay on the smaller side. So what happens when you integrate? Okay, you take one of these babies I have, for example. Now, that's not to say because that there is coastal in it, but because that there is jungle and there is Irian Jaya, which is two smaller species of carpet pythons, okay? I very much doubt that any of these babies will get up to her size. They'll get decent size, but they'll get bigger than an Irian Jaya or a jungle, but they won't get near as big as this girl. And this girl, you know, honestly is really good size, but she's also a 13 animal. And so you got to look at that. Carpets, I know people talk about, they get huge, right? They get big. Some people talk about these huge carpets, but the reality just isn't there. There are carpets out there that can get decent size, like pure coastals, but a lot of that's depending on the region they're located, because different carpet pythons different regions get bigger than other, localities get a little bit bigger than other localities. But I've seen some coastals that are up there around the 8 to 10 foot mark, but on average, your average coastal is going to be around 6.5 to 7.5 feet, and honestly be no more bigger than what this girl is. So if you're looking at like how big is my carpet going to be, this is about average. I would say this is right in line. She's a little bit bigger just because she is 50% coastal, but because she does have that Darwin in her, she's honestly, Darwin's another subspecies of carpet python that it doesn't get real big. They get bigger than a jungle or Eryngia / Papua New Guinea, but they still don't get massive or anything. And even this girl is just, she's about it, and you can just see, that's what you can kind of expect. You can go from something that small all the way up to what she is. And you just got to take your time. You're in no rush. I see a lot of people just pounding food. Now, when it comes to a baby, how do I feed them little tiny babies? They were getting fed twice a week when they were on rat pinkies. Now, why was I feeding them twice a week? A, it helps with their growth rate. B, pinkies, whether it's a mouse or a rat, a pinky is mostly water. Pretty sure you want to hand me my water? Speaking of mostly water, here we go. Now, see how I'm getting a drink? Now, I felt her going where I didn't want her to go, so I just sat there and looked up. Now, I can turn my body, which is going to keep her from going where I want her to go right now. And then as I get my hand free, I get her right back where I want it to. But rat pinkies or mice pinkies are mostly water. They don't have any bones or anything like that to speak of. I mean, they do, but it's negligible to where it's not enough really nutrition, right? A rat pinky is still better than a mouse pinky. Now they're up to fuzzy rats. So now they get fed once a week. Once they get a little bit bigger, to where they can't take a small, but yet they need a hopper, I'll probably give them 2 rat fuzzies a week. Once they can take a small, they'll get 2 rat hoppers a week. Right now, they're just at once a week again. So, that's what I do with the babies. With her, what do you do with a snake this big? How often do you have to feed this snake? Well, honestly, for about 3 months of every year, I take all my snakes off of food. Nobody gets it. The boas, the bloods, the carpets, nobody gets food. Then I put everybody back on food, and that's not for breeding reasons, okay? I just think that's good because they are opportunistic hunters. They're not actually really out there actively seeking their prey. They'll take whatever comes along. They can they hunt? Have there been videos on different documentaries where they've shown snakes hunting? Yes, of course. But for the most part, these types of snakes are opportunistic hunters, so they're going to take whatever comes along, and they do go through times where they don't eat, So with me, I don't get my snakes too fat. I go 3 months without feeding. And so you take one of these little babies, I'm not going to do that with a baby, okay? With a baby, it's going to get fed year-round for about the first 2 years. After 2 years, then it goes 3 months without food. As you can see, she's a big girl. She went 3 months without food, and she looks great. She just has great weight. But she gets fed 1 jumbo rat every 3 weeks now. And that's what she gets. Could she eat more? Yes, she could. But I don't want an overweight snake, okay? I want a snake that is going to be healthy and active and not fat, because no matter what, no matter how nice of an enclosure we set up, whether we keep them in a rack system, whether we keep them in vivarium systems, or you keep them in the archaic tanks, and I do say archaic because tanks are not made for snakes. Unless you're talking a corn snake or a king snake or something like that, then a tank I think is okay, but reality is it's not still the best, heat source, because too much heat can escape. Glass is not a great conductor of heat. So your best bet is to go with something like a vivarium, something that's designed for these guys. Like, there's a bunch of different companies. I'm only going to say the company I use, and that's Proline Cages, because I think they're the best. There are other companies that make cages similar to that, but the materials and stuff like that are different. But I'm not going to get into that. But that size cage for her, is going to be a 4-foot long cage, and that's perfect for her throughout her entire life. Now, she does have, I have a big rod that goes through the whole cage for her to chill on. I never see her on it. These are semi-arboreal. So while she does get on it sporadically, it's nothing compared to when they're babies. When they're babies, I think you need to have vines, or, obviously some, like if you keep them in something like this, you need, or any cage, you need to put it to where they have vines, trees, like fake tree branches, stuff like that for them to climb on. Once they get to be about this size, honestly, rarely does she ever go up and perch. I mean, she does, but it's not something that she does every single day. But honestly, one jumbo rat every 3 weeks for her is enough. So relatively, when it comes to maintenance, care, and feed, it's actually pretty inexpensive. Now, when you start talking about as many snakes as I get, it's a big difference. Now, for me, I'm lucky. I have a great friend. You guys know him, David Moore. He hooks me up with my rats. Honestly, just a great guy that really helps me out big time with my feeds. But so that's what to do. With the baby like that, when you get a baby from me this size, I would recommend feeding it, once a week, just a fuzzy rat. After it gets to where it could maybe take a hopper or a small, then I would go to 2 fuzzy weeks a week. And I don't mean giving it 2 fuzzies at one food. No. I mean giving it one on a Monday and one on a Friday or a Thursday. Something like that. So, but yeah, just a little bit long video. Hopefully I touched on some of your guys', topics that, some questions you guys asked me about, what size are your baby carpet pythons start out? What size do they get? And as far as bedding and stuff like that go, honestly, like I said, you guys know what happened with the cypress bedding with the boa. So my recommendation for bedding is what I went back to, which is just newspaper on the bottom, light, and then I put aspen layer on top. If you don't have to worry about mites anymore, because there's a thing called Frontline. But if you are concerned about mites, then I would just use straight paper towel or just either newspaper or something like that. But for me, it's not an issue, because if I do get mites, I have Frontline, takes care of it, bada bing, bada boom. And so that's just some topics I want to talk about. So anyway, this is Boxing Boa and some of my snakes, and this is Charlotte. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, just please leave them down below. I will definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day. I know I am. Stay positive. Peace.